Hello, listeners. This is Greg Berger. I play the role of Kraven the Hunter, who wants to mount Spider-Man on the wall as my trophy. And also the role of Quentin Beck, Mysterio, master of special effects and treachery. Now I'm just Greg Berger again, reminding you that you are listening to Spider-Man, the Animated Series podcast. Enjoy.
Webheads, and welcome to another edition of Spider-Man, the Animated Series podcast. I'm your host, Alex Robson, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Marvel artist, image artist, my brother, and all-around friendly neighborhood guy, Mr. Will Robson. Say hello, Will.
Hello, everybody.
How's it going?
I'm alright, Smythe. I'm just inking a little cheeky poo page of Spawn.
Was that before or after lunch, Smythe?
Oh, well, I would like for lunch, the third lunch, because I've already eaten 2.
Smythe, if 3 pieces of chicken in KFC's bucket sticks to 1 piece, it counts as 1 piece, Smythe. Sir, I don't think that's how math works. Silence, Smythe!
I fucking wish there was some, vegetarian version of KFC. That would be amazing.
That's right, for all our listeners. Will here has been a vegetarian for, 2 years now?
I've been a vegetarian as long as I've been working for Marvel, so yes. I was a vegan first, but I pretty much am a vegan, except when I eat pizza. But besides that, I'm pretty much all vegan.
Word. Yeah, actually, I was just listening to Kevin Smith. As you know, I listen to a lot of his podcasts, as I know you listen to some of his as well. And after his heart attack, he's gone full vegan.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and he was talking about his new dietary plan today on one of the podcasts he does, and it's basically all potatoes and veggies, and he's lost 14 pounds in 9 days. It's crazy.
Well, he's losing them, I'm gaining them.
Yeah, you're finding them somewhere.
Do you know what is vegan, Smythe? Practically every fucking packet of crisps you could find.
And I eat them all, Smythe.
And I'm on a mission to try them all, Smythe.
So, last time we met, we were interviewing Nate Stockman, which was good fun, and today we are going to review Episode 5 of Spider-Man, the Animated Series, The Menace of Mysterio.
Yeah, it was a pretty good episode.
It was a good episode. In fact, we'll go into it in a bit, but I will say so far it's been my favourite.
See, my favourite is the first Spider-Slayer episode, because I thought it set up all the characters really well. It was a good plot, and I just generally enjoyed that ride. But I can totally understand that this is your favourite.
Yeah, I think it was really well balanced. It actually had a lot, but we'll go into that in a moment, because the reason I bring up the interview with Nate is because when you were doing your Green Goblin impression, I said you sound just like the voice actor Gary Imhoff, who is technically a Green Goblin, but he is not Norman Osborn. He did the voice of Harry Osborn and the Green Goblin. Neil Ross, just to correct myself, was the Green Goblin, so I don't have anybody out there message me going, actually, it wasn't Gary Imhoff that was the original Green Goblin, it was Neil Ross, who was also in Spider-Man as Amazing Friends.
You fucked it up!
It's a free show, everybody. Shut the fuck up.
I don't think... No one is attacking you. You're getting mad at people for no apparent reason.
Just getting the defences going. And also, since we last met, I have
since we last met? It was nice to meet you, Wiggy, my brother I've known for fucking ever.
Since we last spoke on the podcast, I've had a horrible stomach bug, which is fucking ridiculous.
You're shitting your brains out, haven't you, Spike?
Sir, I don't think this chair has a toilet function.
I did that on purpose just to torture you, Spike.
Let's see you get through the bathroom door.
Enjoy your chicken madras tonight, Smythe. It's extra spicy.
So I originally thought that it was because I ate a mouldy piece of bread by accident.
Yeah, and I was, because we chatted a lot over this weekend. We were both pretty much doing the same thing. We had a bit of free time away from spouses, and we were both watching movies and things.
Yeah, it was awesome, wasn't it?
I had the play-by-play version of your sickness, where it was like, I think I've just eaten moldy bread. And I was like, how? And you're like, well, I ate 2 slices of bread. My wife came down. She went to eat bread, and she was like, oh, God, it's covered in mold. And I was like, crap, I've already eaten 2 of those slices. And then, as the day went on, you're like, my tummy feels weird. And I was like, okay, well, you've probably eaten moldy bread. And then I had to look up symptoms, just like, and pretended to play doctor. Like, have you been passing a lot of wind?
Yes, Smythe.
Do you have a bit of a headache? Maybe a fever?
Now that you mentioned it, Smythe, I am a little clammy.
Ew, that's too much information. Yeah, and it just kept going on like that, and then, yeah, you obviously started shitting your brains out.
Oh, thanks for announcing that on a podcast. Yes, I was visiting the toilet.
Well, you were the one that brought it up.
Well, I just said stomach bug. I didn't go into details, but yeah.
Well, it's better to have a sicking up stomach bug than the being sick. I mean, pooping stomach bug than the sicking one. I had a sick one when I was in high school, and I remember I just felt weird. And I went to the nurses and I was like, oh, I don't know, my stomach feels weird. She's like, oh my God, okay, you need to go home. And then I remember our mum picked us up. She was like, oh my God, just go in your room for the next couple of days. And there was nothing wrong with me. I was like, sweet, I'm going to make this up more often to get out of shit. And I just remember just having a good time. And I was like, oh my God. And then I was just suddenly violently ill in the toilet because apparently there had been a stomach bug going around. So for the next 2 days, the moment I ate something, like even a yogurt, I would sick it up in about 2 minutes.
It was bizarre because I've had bugs before and like viruses, even stomach bugs, but this one was very weird because just like you were saying, I could operate normally. I was talking, walking around, like nothing was bothering me, and then all of a sudden it was just like, yep, you're unwell, run to the toilet now, and you're like, oh my God, and then you just devoid your whole body of all liquid.
Sir, I blocked the toilet again.
Smythe! I wanted to take a bath in a minute. Oh, for fuck's sake, Smythe.
Smythe, you're going to have to call him Mysterio. He's going to have to plumb this now.
I'm going to need to send Kingpin into my tub and kill whatever the fuck this thing is.
So yeah, that was fun. That took up a whole lot of my week. Because as I said recently, I've had some time off before I start my new job. And during that time off, I also watched all of Jessica Jones Season 2. I know you watched maybe an episode and a half. But my wife and I really enjoyed it.
I liked the intro. I was like, oh, this is cool with her being hired. And the lady was like, oh, spoilers, anybody that doesn't want to hear Jessica Jones, just skip ahead a bit. But she's like, oh, yeah, kill that guy. And she's like, that's not what I do. And I was into it. I was into the opening story. And then the moment the wizard showed up, which was basically me, but with speedy powers, I was like, all right, fuck this.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that whole season, and we watched the hell out of it. So I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, it definitely had moments where I was sitting there and I was like, all right, let's just wrap these episodes up because this is taking way too long.
I'm going to ask you off pod how was she created and stuff like that, because I want to know, but I'm not invested in that time.
That's fine. Yeah, I'll tell you. It's nothing. It's nothing spectacular.
I see a scarlet-clad haired woman in the background, Smythe.
Yes. What are you doing here, Smythe? This is in recording. Did you not see the on-air sign in the door? Yes, you.
I need something. I'm sorry.
What are you looking for, Smythe?
This is a very professional podcast.
She doesn't know what I'm saying when I say Smythe. She's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I do know what you mean. Shut up.
All right. Goodbye.
Shut up.
All right, so moving on. You didn't close the door either. Good job.
Yeah, the fucking cat's standing here. You better move.
It's editing time. All right. And then also the big thing that happened since we last spoke on the podcast was the Infinity War trailer.
Which you've watched 100 times, haven't you?
Which, yeah, the Infinity War trailer I have watched probably 50 times, Steve.
That's ridiculous. I watched it once. And I usually don't watch trailers, but I was like, I have to see the trailer because I'm like, there's going to be so much in this movie that it's not going to really give anything away. And so I did watch it, but I don't really want to discuss too in depth with it because I don't want to remember too much from it when I finally see the film.
No, I do not. I do not want to go through a play-by-play of the Infinity War trailer and what I think it's going to be, and exactly what we saw. But I did notice there was no Hawkeye or Ant-Man in both trailers.
Yeah, Ant-Man's on the poster.
The first poster. Not the new one.
I read an article about Hawkeye, and I think he's not going to be in the film. That he's on his own journey or something like that, and I was like, all right. Really annoyed me, because this is what I don't like about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is I love Hawkeye the character, but they are really doing nothing with him, and the moment they gave him a family, I was like, well, there chucks away that fantastic story that came out where it was just Hawkeye living in New York City. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, when he had a dog and there was a whole issue where it was from the dog's perspective as well.
Russian mafia and all of that stuff. Like,
it was basically Marvel's attempt at James Bond. I know they did that with the Black Panther movie, but more specifically, he was like a street-level James Bond, wasn't he?
Yes, and that was something I was like, wow, I can't wait to see that on the big screen. And they just kind of made him like, oh, I live with my family. I hope the first thing that happens in Avengers is Thanos lands on his family home and kills all of that plot. Kind of like in the new Star Wars film where they just chuck so much crap out where they're like, we don't need this plot.
I know, especially when, like, in one of the films where, I think it was Civil War, because I just watched Civil War again recently, and Vision confronts Hawkeye, and he's like, Flint, what are you doing here? I thought you were retired. And he's just like, yeah, and I forget what he said, but then he's like, played some golf, played 18 holes, shot 18, and I'm like, if you played 18 holes and you shot 18, you are in the wrong fucking business, mate. You need to go immediately and be a professional golfer, and you would make millions of dollars.
He'd have his own iced tea, his own video game line.
Lemon Hawkeye iced tea. Even Kingpin's like, it's delicious.
This is actually pretty good, mate.
So yeah, I noticed no Hawkeye or Ant-Man, and I haven't heard that Hawkeye stuff, so it remains to be seen. Maybe he'll be in the second part of the Infinity War film. I also have a theory for you, that after watching the Infinity War trailer so many times,
I thought you were like, oh, I don't want to do any.
No. These are yes, no. I didn't want to do a walkthrough of the trailer, but I want to do some theories with you because this is my theory. So it's just an opinion. I think that after seeing it, you know how you see the Hulkbuster armor.
Yeah.
I think Black Widow is going to be in that Hulkbuster armor.
How come?
Well, because
you know who I think would be in there is freaking War Machine, because his back's messed up.
No, because you see him in his War Machine outfit. And also, I bet you he's just going to go to Wakanda and they're going to be like, oh, we can fix that. And then it's like, click, done, see you later. I bet they're going to do that. Because there's a huge battle in Wakanda. That's definitely a part of both trailers.
Doctor Strange is like, can you fix my hands?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's like, I'm done with this shit. Bye.
Like, no, we're good. Cummerbunds.
Yeah, they're like, none of the white boy that we have to fix. Fuck that. But yeah, I will say that I think it's Black Widow because in the first trailer that came out, you see Bruce Banner and Natalia Romanoff both standing there in Wakanda. Natasha, sorry, not Natalia, you're right.
God, are you a fan?
Yeah, Jesus. You see Hulk and Black Widow, there we go, standing there, and you see Bruce Banner.
Guys, sun's getting real low.
Oh, I love how they made fun of that in Thor Ragnarok. Anyway, you see them standing there, and you see the Hulkbuster armored hand next to Bruce, and you know that scene is both him and Black Widow probably seeing each other for the first time since whatever, Avengers 2. I just think it would make the most sense because she's obviously going into battle, and everybody has powers there but her. And to put her in the Hulkbuster armor, since she's in love with the Hulk and they've got the whole relationship going on, I think that would make the most sense to see Black Widow in that Hulkbuster armor fighting alongside everyone. And that'd be cool to see her in...
Now that you've mentioned the whole Hulk relationship, then maybe.
And I also wanted to ask you, where do you think the Soul Stone is, the last Infinity Gem?
Have you seen that meme going around about where the Soul Gem is?
I've seen a theory. I don't know if I've seen a meme.
I've seen this meme where Thanos arrives. He's like, where is the Soul Gem? And Doctor Strange is like, it is inside this cute puppy.
Oh, I have seen that, yeah.
And then he rips the puppy in half. He's like, I finally have it. Haha. And they're like, wait for it. And then John Wick shows up. He's like, has anybody seen my new puppy? And it just shows Thanos sweating nuts. Like, oh,
yeah, and then Iron Man and Captain America high five.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's very funny. But yeah, I was interested to see where you think it is because I personally think it's in Wakanda still but everyone was saying, they would have thrown that in Black Panther if that was the case. But my theory sticks with, which is a lot of people's theory, it's in Wakanda because that's how they're able to travel to like the astral plane and see the dead, and I think it stems from the Soul Stone. I think a lot of Wakandan magic stems from the Soul Stone.
That would make a lot of sense.
It would.
Do you know what I think they're going to do? Which I still wouldn't mind just to get the ball rolling.
What?
I mean, like, now that you say, like, this is why I don't like to discuss this stuff, because then you start putting ideas in my head, like, why are they all fighting in Wakanda again, and, like, running and charging? That probably means that they're trying to protect the Soul Gem from Thanos getting it. So that's definitely probably where it's going to be. But otherwise, if they just had him with the Soul Gem already on his glove and he's like, all right, gotta go get the other one. So I'd be like, that's fine. He's already had it for a while.
That's true. They could just be like, that's the first one that he got immediately. Maybe.
But now that you've said that, see, this is why I don't want to talk about trailers, because now that's all I'm going to see it. I'm going to be like, damn it.
But there's also another theory going around where in Iron Man 2, when you remember how he had to fix his chest piece, because it wasn't his core reactor wasn't sustaining anymore, and he remember he was like breaking down his mansion and creating this massive like piece of laser beam technology to create.
Well, he created a new element,
and everyone's saying that new element is the Soul Stone. Which
that would be dumb, because that would be like. That wouldn't make any sense.
Exactly, that's what I said, because the soul gem or stone or whatever you want to call it has existed for way longer than him just fucking making it up in a mansion.
Yes, it's said by the Collector in Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like they've been around since basically the Big Bang.
Yeah, exactly.
So that theory is dumb.
Lame. Anyway, so moving on from that, and I already bought my tickets on a side note, and I'm going to go to I'm going to pull a U and go to a really fucking legit, like, tiny, comfy cinema in London that only has, like, 35, 40 seats, big screen, fantastic sound, super comfy chairs. No one's going to be a cunt and talk through the whole thing, and I'm just going to really enjoy it.
That's the way to do it now. Honestly, even though I didn't like Black Panther that much, the experience I had in that theater was great.
Yeah, I'm going on opening night, baby.
Opening night.
Hell yeah, I can't wait. All right, moving on. We're going to do the new little segment, because since we are reviewing the Mysterio episode, we have a new character introduced in the show, which means we also have to cast that character and see which character or actor we think should play Mysterio in the MCU. So go ahead, buddy. You got 2 picks, and I've got 2 picks here as well, and let's talk about it.
All right, I have 2 very different picks. One is impossible because it's already an actor playing a Marvel character.
Oh, you can't do that.
Okay, well, then I'll just say it quickly. I thought Benedict Cumberbatch would be a good Mysterio. That's the side thing. But my other choice, in a more, because Mysterio, he's a failed actor, right? And
yes,
he's over the top and he's theatrical, etc. So my choice is Bruce Campbell.
That's who I chose.
Really?
That's exactly. Look, I have it written down. I have Bruce Campbell.
That's hilarious.
That's insane. Everyone out there, we've decided when we do this, we're not going to tell each other because it's really fun to find out from each other on the spot while recording. I chose Bruce Campbell. Originally, I chose Alan Tudnik, who plays K2SO in the Star Wars Rogue One. You know, the blonde guy?
Oh, that's not a bad choice.
I thought he would be very good, and he does a good villain voice. But then I saw Bruce Campbell when I was searching through, because I searched, like, most villainous villain voices or something weird like that, and they gave me a list about this.
Honestly, both my choices would come from me Googling who would be good casting choices and seeing them and being like, yep.
I chose Bruce Campbell as well.
Yeah.
Through a different Google search. That's awesome. All right. Undisputed then. It's Bruce Campbell as Mysterio. I think he'd be a fantastic choice.
I think he would be fantastic. I don't think he should be a main villain. But I think, one, it would be fun for fans of the original Spider-Man trilogy, the Sam Raimi versus Spider-Man films, because he's obviously in all 3 of them. And I just think that he would be great in that role. And I could see him in this universe, because Homecoming's very funny, and you could have sort of a more comedic villain, I think.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. I think he would sound fantastic. He would look really good if they did the Mysterio costume, which MCU never fails in doing the villains justice, except for, well, actually, that's not true, because we've got a few in there, like Baron Zemo, like we spoke about, and a couple others. But Mysterio costume, if you got the fishbowl head, you've got the purple cape, green outfit, I think Bruce Campbell's voice behind that fishbowl would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be.
And then, since you didn't get to, because I kind of sprung this game on you last time when we were doing the Doc Ock review, I said Jesse Plemons for Doc Octopus, but I would like to change that.
I would like to change my choice.
I decided that Jesse Plemons is too young to play Dr. Octopus. I like an older, more seasoned Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
So, did you choose one?
Is it going to be Mark Hamill?
No. Oh, I like that.
That's one of my choices, is Mark Hamill.
I decided I did have Mark Hamill on the list at one point, but then realised I'm going to wait to put him as another character, because I kind of thought about who he should play, and that'll be obvious when we get to it. It's going to be Hobgoblin. I mean, if there's ever a live-action Hobgoblin, put Mark Hamill.
He's too old to be Hobgoblin.
Maybe. I don't know, but he's got the mask. Anyway, we'll discuss that later.
Kurt Russell is Hobgoblin.
Mate, well, yeah, actually, we've already talked about that. You're totally right. All right, but my choice as Dr. Octopus is Ian McShane. Do you know who Ian McShane is?
What, Gandalf?
No, that's Ian McKellen.
Yes, Deadwood.
Yes.
Ooh.
That is a Dr. Octopus if I've ever fucking seen one.
No, that's a pretty good choice. I like that. Do you want to hear my other choice?
I do.
I don't know his name, but he played Price on Mad Men, which is like one of my favorite TV shows of all time. You know the British guy?
Yeah.
British guy that hangs himself behind the door.
Oh my god, that's right. And he's been in so many movies. Oh my god, he was in the Resident Evil franchise. He's the guy that created the virus.
Oh my god, yes he is.
Yeah. So let's go to Resident Evil Apocalypse, because I want to see what movies this guy's been in. His name is Jared Harris.
Wow, I didn't take him for a Jared.
He is Jared Harris.
Hello, my name's Jared.
Oh, he's Professor Moriarty in the Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, yes, he is, yes.
Yeah.
Professor Moriarty.
He's in Benjamin Button. He's been in The Crown. That's right, the series on Netflix I really enjoy watching with my wife. He's King George.
I want to see that show. Is it good?
It's fucking awesome, man. I really, really like it.
I don't think Chloe wants to watch it, so I'll have to watch it by myself.
It is like watching it's like a soap opera that anyone could watch, is how I put it. And especially when you're like, these people actually exist. I mean, obviously it's dramatized, but when you're looking at it, you're like, man, the royal family's got some fucking secrets, huh? It's messed up. Yeah, so, I mean, the list goes on for Jared Harris.
That might inspire my comic I'm trying to come up with called Killer Queen, where it's about, like, this princess that kills her way to the top to becoming the queen. Kind of like a House of Cards, but with a young female character.
Oh, everybody. Got a little teaser there. Yeah, no, that's definitely a good choice, but I have to say, and I don't mean to sound cocky, I think Ian McShane beats out Jared at being Dr. Octopus.
I just don't see him as being super intelligent, though.
Ian McShane? Absolutely.
He's got street smarts. I'm talking about, like, Dr. Octopus is all about book smarts.
No, I think that your choice is better off as, like, a Kurt Connors.
Yeah, I guess so. I like my choice. I could just see him. Well, I'll stick with Mark Hamill because I think he'd do a good job.
But anyway, some good choices. Undisputed, though. Bruce Campbell, definitely Mysterio. Love that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's review this episode.
All right, man.
All right, dude. All right, so overall, I really like this episode. It's my favourite so far. For reasons being, I thought it was really well paced. I liked the twist that they did where the villain is trying to be the hero and make Spider-Man the villain. I know it's nothing new, but it was done really well. Mysterio, I've never been a big fan of in the comics. I really, really like his version in this show. I like the way Greg Berger does it. I just like what they did with the character.
Now, I don't think that was Greg Berger.
Oh, it 100% was, my friend.
I thought that he said he played one of 3 Mysterios.
No, that's Eeyores, you twit.
Oh. But like when I heard him on the interview, it didn't remind me of that voice that I heard there. I couldn't put 2 and 2 together.
No, it's Greg Berger, 100%. There may be some sort of like effect they put on his voice because it's got to sound like it's inside that fishbowl of a head, but that is Greg Berger.
I bet you, because it's his first time out, I guarantee you next time we have a Mysterio episode, it's going to be more like what he did with like, and me, the conjuring of Mysterio. I think he's going to, I think, in my opinion, I don't know, I haven't watched ahead like you have, but I think he hasn't found the voice yet.
I didn't notice. I did notice the effect that you're talking about in this episode. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh wow, they've definitely done something to Greg's voice there. But also, you could be right. He's just finding his footing as the character. It's his first outing, first time on the show. So it could be a combination of those. I also like what they did with his Spider-Man's origin in a way.
Oh yeah, that was great. That came out of nowhere.
Really well placed in this whole episode, because this whole episode
disappearance of
Ben Parker,
or
how he lost his uncle, as he says. So we'll get into all that because they avoided all words "kill, death, or die" in this episode, but there is quite a bit and break of censorship that I'll share with you as well after we review the episode. So to begin with, the name of the episode, Menace of Mysterio, was released 25th of February 1995. It was written by John Semper Jr., Marv Wolfman, and Stan Berkowitz. Characters created by Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and John Romita Sr., who created Mary Jane. We've got Christopher Daniel Barnes, Spider-Man and Peter Parker, Ed Asner as J. Jonah Jameson, Linda Gary as Aunt May, Sarah Ballantyne as Mary Jane Watson. We've got Greg Berger as Quentin Beck and Mysterio. I mean, I could do honourable mentions, but you can always go back and listen to the interview that I did with Greg, because all of those honourable mentions and also impersonations of a lot of those characters are in there, so definitely go and check that out. But to name a few, we've got Grumble in Our Real Monsters, and also Odie in Garfield. And also, the one that we didn't mention on the podcast when we interviewed him, or I interviewed him, that I'll mention now, is he was the Bat Computer in the Batman Beyond animated series.
That's interesting, but I don't remember the Bat Computer having a voice.
Yeah, it always used to talk. I mean, in the original Batman, the animated series, it talked to Batman all the time when he was like, computer, analyze, blah, 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 blah. And it's like analyzing, downloading, blah, 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 blah. Sounded just like
there
that.
There are 60 Google search results for blah, 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 blah.
For Catwoman naked.
He's like, what? I didn't search that. Save that for later, computer. Saving for later, Catwoman naked.
Alfred's like, sir, I'm also Dr. Octopus. As I said, no need to do all the honourable mentions, but we've also got an introduction of Lieutenant Terry Lee, who's quite a reoccurring character in this show, especially in the first 2 seasons, because she has that love interest with Blade to come.
Spoilers? I don't remember that.
Oh, fucking get over it. We're reviewing the show. So,
thanks, mate.
The actress who's behind Terry Lee's voice is named Dawn Lewis. She is remembered mostly from her role as Jaleesa Vincent on a show called A Different World in 1987. Dawn composed the theme song with Bill Cosby that was used for that series. She left the show in 1992 to join the cast of Hanging with Mr. Cooper as a character named Robin Dumas. But from 1995 to 1996, she continued her career as a voice actor, and she was in shows such as Spider-Man, Bruno the Kid, and Sea Bear and Jamal. In 1998, she also helped write the movie Black Jack. So nothing that really...
Sea Bear and Jamal.
Nothing that we really know besides the Terry Lee... But nonetheless, those are honourable mentions. We've also got Brian Keith as Uncle Ben in this episode, who died in...
Who just goes...
Who? Well, he... no, he did speak, because he...
I'm joking.
Wait, hang on.
Does he speak? I don't remember him saying anything.
I don't remember him saying anything either. How can you have someone play a character if he's not going to fucking say anything?
Well, he might have made some noises like, hey.
Maybe. Peter
Piper picked a pepper.
So Brian Keith nonetheless plays the silent Uncle Ben in this episode.
He may have said something, I just can't remember.
Maybe, or maybe it was cut, but he died sadly in 1997 at age 75. Honourable mentions for him were Mitch Evers in the 1961 Parent Trap. He was Buckshot Roberts in Young Guns. Remember that movie, Young Guns?
I've never seen it. You used to love that film.
I love both of them. Great movies.
Used to always listen to the soundtrack. I still love the song from it. The
yeah,
that's a tune, mate.
Wanted Dead or Alive by Bon Jovi, man.
Yeah, that's a fucking tune, mate.
Oh yeah, and he also played Teddy Roosevelt in a film called The Wind and the Lion. Classics.
Like, when I fought, the wind and the lion.
It's like me this past fucking week.
It blows like the wind and sounds like a lion.
And as always, music composed by Udi Harpez, Shuki Levy, and Haim Sabam. Alright, so this episode opens up on a museum at night as a shadowy figure walks through the museum with a flashlight and security cameras pick up on the movement. Security guards are alerted in the camera room. This is the second episode that we've seen a shadowy villain before we actually see the villain and security cameras picking up on them, just like Dr. Octopus and the same thing.
Shadow? What's in the shadow?
The flashlight from the shadowy figure reveals priceless artifacts in the Egyptian section of the museum, one even being a gold spider artifact that is in the exact shape of the logo on Spider-Man's back. And I was like, no, that's funny.
Was it? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, well, it was very close to the same shape. Not the exact one, that's an exaggeration, but it is very close to being the same shape.
You just making stuff up.
It's the same shape. Relax, guy. It's a spider, you know what it is. It's a show about Spider-Man. We get it. The guard then calls the police as the other one runs out to the Egyptian room. The guard searches the Egyptian room with his flashlight and discovers Spider-Man is on the ceiling. Spider-Man jumps down and webs up the security guard, and the other guard is still on the phone with the police, who's voiced by Greg Berger, by the way, that other security guard, while he's calling the police.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he tells them to hurry up and hangs out and runs to save his security guard friend. And they definitely need Golf Cart Cop at this point. Golf Cart Cop would be able to solve this mystery. He'd fly in there and be like, what's the problem?
Don't try and make Golf Cart Cop a thing. Bringing him back around. No one's even going to remember that reference.
Hashtag Golf Cart Cop.
He's not even a cop, he was a security guard.
Yeah, but I always wanted to be a cop.
Speaking of the difference between security guards and police, the guy literally, the security guard, just hung up the phone and called the police and ran out into the Egyptian room. And guess who shows up to join him? The fucking police. How did they get there so quickly? What does it take him, like half an hour to run from the security room to the fucking Egyptian room?
I thought it was another security guard.
No, they're in different outfits and they've got badges on. They are police.
Maybe they're next door.
Well, like the police station's right next door to the museum.
Yeah, it could be.
It's like Batman 66.
Maybe that's what Mysterio wanted. Like a quick, that's Spider-Man.
Maybe. So yeah, as they all exclamate, as you just said, Spider-Man is robbing us blind! And they look to see Spider-Man in the room, and he throws like a giant artifact, like some sort of, I don't know what it was, like some stone Egyptian artifact at them. They dodge it, but then he webs them up and he makes off with a web sack full of stolen goods and motions a little kiss goodbye to the camera as he exits the museum. I like his little web sack full of jewels. I thought that was a fun little thing where he's like...
There's a lot of multi-use for webbing in this episode.
There is. Even one that makes absolute no sense when it comes to surviving underwater.
Yes, that's what I was going to talk about later on.
We then cut to Peter asleep in his bedroom and his room's a mess. I like how Peter's room is a shithole. Like, it shows he's still a teenager. Like, he's asleep. There's clothes everywhere. There's, like, half-empty bottles.
Aunt May's like, I am not picking up this shit, Parker.
I love how she calls him Parker when she's angry.
Yeah.
Peter, clean your room, you piece of shit.
Just like your uncle, you slob.
So Peter's cell phone then rings. This is 1995, right?
Now, it was not a cell phone, it was a cordless phone.
You say that, but later on it rings again, and it's the size of a cell phone, mate. And it's not on a docket in the second time it rings.
You don't need it to be on a docket.
Well, a cordless one you do to charge.
No, like a cord, yes, but like you could have it off for a while. You could pick up a cordless phone and walk around with it for ages or leave it somewhere.
Even though, man, it looked like one of those old flip phones. It really did. It looked like
I thought it looked like a big cordless phone.
So it's MJ on the phone, and she's doing a morning workout routine in what looks like Richard Simmons workout gear.
Yeah, jokes.
Yeah, and she's like dancing to this like really weird 80s like techno pop. I don't know what it is. It was really, really strange music. But she's calling Peter, and she hopes it's not too early. And Peter lies and says he's been awake for hours. Then she just decides to test him on that, and she goes, oh, well, that's good. And she asks him why non-planetary masses don't exude gravitational forces. And I was like, what a bitch. Like, he's like, no, I've been awake for hours. And she's like, oh, good, then you can answer this question.
I think you're missing a lot of things here, Wiggy. The reason she's asking him that is because she needs help studying for a physics test.
I know she does, but I just felt like dropping that on as well was just like, all right, fucking, let's get straight to the point then, shall we? No, like, how you been? How's Aunt May? That's good. Like, do you want to hang out this week? She's like, straight into it. She's like, so, you're going to help me with my test? How do non-planetary masses exude gravitational force? And I also realised that Peter is constantly being used by women for his science brain, isn't he?
Yeah.
You seen a problem with that?
Well, I mean, he's still going out on dates. I don't think he's being used. They still love interest. They still going on dates and things. I wouldn't say that's being used.
I guess. I mean, she does say, let's catch a movie after the test. Or after the, not the test, but after the study session.
Yeah, and, like, she's not using him because in the end of the episode, she passes the test and she's still interested in him. So if she was using him, then she would have been like, fuck you, buddy, goodbye.
True.
You got a stick up your butt about this episode.
Well, no, I find that, like, it was just like...
It's all that shitting your brains out.
It's just like with Felicia Hardy, where she was just like, yeah, let's just study. And he's just like, well, it's cold out. I'll keep you warm. She's like, no, let's just study.
Well, that's a creepy line. I'd be turned off by that as well.
It's true, it is. I like how Peter also plays off like he's got a busy schedule, but he can squeeze her in, even though he screams yes at the top of his lungs when he realizes he has a date with MJ. Like, she definitely heard that. He doesn't even cover the phone. She's like, maybe we can catch a movie after? He's like, oh, let me check my schedule. I'm kind of busy. And then he's like, yes! And jumps up on the fucking ceiling fan.
Well, because he's excited. What's your problem, guy? You're picking on Peter.
I think he's given away his hand too quickly here.
Well, he's a dingus butt.
Yeah,
so.
And then after he hangs up with MJ, the fucking ceiling fan breaks and he rips it off the wall.
And there's no consequences for this ceiling fan breaking off. Yeah. That's the one thing why I will have a quarrel where I was just like, he was like, oops, and then just walks down the stairs like, it's a great day. And then you can see Aunt May being like, why is the ceiling fan broken through the floor and is now in the kitchen, Peter?
Did you do that whole thing where you got a date again and you got excited? I'm sorry, Aunt May, but this one's for real.
I set you up with that woman.
I do like how Spider-Man this is, though, because he's just got a date, he's feeling good, you know, life's starting to look up. He comes downstairs, kisses Aunt May good morning, he gets a massive plate of pancakes. Did you see how big that fucking plate was?
No, I didn't.
Oh, mate, it was like IHOP stacks. It was ridiculous. But it's very Spider-Man there, because all in that moment where he's feeling good, it all comes crashing down because Aunt May reverts his attention to the TV where it's showing footage of Spider-Man robbing the museum the night before, which obviously Peter knows is a lie, but everybody believes it. And it's just great because immediately he's just like, well, I thought life was going good, but now it's back to being shit again.
I also like how he was like, anybody could put that costume on it. And then like Aunt May's like, can anybody do that? And it shows him like web swimming and stuff. And he's like, crap. No, yeah. I guess you're right.
Yeah, you got me there.
I would be like, did I do that?
I know. Peter finishes his fucking massive plate of pancakes in seconds, and then he leaves for work. And I like the shot where Aunt May's doing the dishes, and she even says, she's like, I don't know why so many people thought Spider-Man was a hero. And you see Peter looking over his shoulder as he leaves out the front door.
He's like, yeah, well, your pancakes are shitty.
Yeah. And you're living with Spider-Man, you bitch.
She's like, where did that come from?
So we then cut to the museum and we see JJ and his camera crew getting set up to report the news. Peter shows up. JJ is mad at Peter for not getting the pictures from last night's robbery, and he's telling him off.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, mate. How the fuck am I just going to know there's going to be a robbery going down?
Exactly. And he's like, well, you follow Spider-Man everywhere. Where's my pictures? But then as JJ's like giving him shit, the cameraman's suddenly like, JJ, we're on the air. And he's like, oh, okay. And I thought, what a dickhead that cameraman is. Like, JJ's in the middle of like telling off his employee, and the cameraman's like, hey, by the way, we're recording. He's like, what the fuck?
You're fired.
Yeah. Oh, also, by the way, when Spider-Man leaves Aunt May and they show a scene of just Spider-Man swinging through the city and then Peter Parker changing in his clothes in the woods, which is the same exact footage from the Dr. Octopus episode. It's reused.
Oh, is it?
It is. And I felt like it's really weird for them to do that, because why show Spider-Man swinging through the city, then changing, and then going to the museum? Why don't you just show Peter leaving Aunt May's house and then going to the museum? I don't get why they showed that little bit.
I don't know, just chucking a bit more Spidey, I guess.
Like, hey, 2 seconds of Spider-Man and then back to Peter Parker. So JJ reports the robbery as Peter sneaks off into the Egyptian exhibit. Peter spots a web line and crawls up the wall to inspect it. And as he's looking at the web, we are introduced to Lieutenant Terry Lee, who is there to inspect the crime scene as well. I like how Peter then tries to run off with the web line, but Terry Lee spots him and he quickly turns around, tries to hide it behind his back, and he introduces himself. He's like, oh, I'm Peter Parker. I'm a photographer for the Daily Bugle and I'm just here to get pictures. And Terry knows exactly who Peter is already. She knows that he's Spider-Man's photographer. And she even spots the web line in his hand, and she threatens to arrest him for removing evidence. And I do like how Peter then makes the case that it's not Spider-Man's webbing, as the webbing dissolves after only an hour, while the webbing in his hand has been there since last night. I thought that was a good response for Peter, where he doesn't give his hand away that he is Spider-Man, but makes a good case.
I would also be like, I mean, what, does he know that because he's done a stakeout, I guess, and seen the webbing, this would be his cover-up. He would be like, oh yeah, if he had to make up a story, like, oh yeah, I staked him out once and I watched his webbing dissolve. I know it dissolves all the time like that.
Yeah, or I think it's also assumed that he has conversations with Spider-Man as well, because he's his publicist or his photographer.
Well, I don't know if that's assumed, just because he's always just like, well, I'm just his photographer.
Yeah, he uses it both ways, doesn't he? Sometimes he's like, yeah, I know Spider-Man, I'm his photographer, and other times he's like, I just take pictures of him, I don't really know him. Then Terry makes another case, which I thought, well, that's actually a good response, where she's like, yeah, but it's possible that Spider-Man could just be using another chemical that makes his webbing last longer.
Got him.
Yeah, and he's like, man, that's a good point. Suddenly, everyone's interrupted by a massive cloud of smoke as it bursts in the museum, and Mysterio appears and introduces himself to everybody in the room. I'd like to know what you think of Mysterio's costume and look, because I've always been...
Love it.
Yeah, I've always been up and down about it. I do... Overall, I think I love it just because I like the colour scheme and I like his gauntlets.
It's extravagant, it's fun to look at, and it's specifically very fun to draw.
Yeah, that's a good point that you could give. It's definitely, I can see why it can be fun to draw. I do like his fishbowl head now I think about it. I've always been... Oh,
I absolutely love the fishbowl head.
Yeah, and I like how they do it in this show because it constantly emits a glowing, a light kind of dimming and then getting lighter and dimming.
Well, that's to show him that he's actually he's the one speaking.
Yeah, I really like that. That's pretty cool, actually, the way they did that. All right, yeah, I you know what? I dig his look a lot. I've always been kind of on the fence about it, but you're right. He's a cool-looking villain, and he looks like a movie villain as well.
Yeah, he looks like someone that is theatrical has made a costume that he thinks someone who's mysterious would wear.
True, very true.
I have a fishbowl for a head.
He then announces that he's putting Spider-Man on notice and poses as the new hero of New York. JJ thinks he's just another creep in a costume, and he asks, what can you do? You're just another creep in a costume. Mysterio then pops off his fishbowl head and rolls it along his arms like some sort of fucking trick. Yeah. And Peter isn't impressed at all.
What's that basketball team called that travels around?
Oh, it's it's not Globetrotters, is it?
It is the Globetrotters, well done! They travel around and then they do as they spin all the balls on their fingers and stuff. Yeah, it's the Harlem Globetrotters.
So, I'm glad I could tell you the name of something that I know nothing about.
I know, I'm actually shocked that you were like, the Harlem Globetrotters. I was like, what?
Smythe!
It's like that fucking people on the game show where they don't know anything and suddenly the answer just comes to them. They're like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Jesus, take the wheel.
So he then does these tricks and he disappears, but his head, his fishbowl head remains, turns into a basketball, and then bounces towards JJ. JJ grabs it, and then it turns back into his head and starts emitting the light again, because obviously he's talking. JJ does his typical, ah! And he drops it, and it bounces up into the ceiling and causes the whole ceiling to collapse. So the entire place starts to come down, and everyone runs away except for Peter, who just covers his head. And I thought that's a weird thing for him to do. Like, everyone runs away, and Peter's just like, ah, and covers his head. I don't know, maybe he's thinking, like, the rubble's not going to kill me, so I'll be okay.
I mean, as we've seen, he's survived from rubble many times.
That's true, yeah, he's got a record for surviving rubble. But the collapse then disappears, and everything seems to still be intact and normal, as it was just an illusion. Peter realizes that he should have known it was fake, as his spider sense didn't go off. We then cut to Peter taking the bus. I always love Peter Parker taking the bus. I think it makes absolutely no fucking sense, but well.
Also, this episode proved that his spider sense, like I was saying, is not just about his well-being. I'll discuss it at the end of the episode. Okay,
because I'm interested, because I still didn't see somebody else in danger where Spider-Man wasn't. But okay, I will listen afterwards. So we cut to the bus, and a man in a suit sits near Peter reading the Daily Bugle, with the front cover being the photo of Mysterio that he took earlier. Peter wonders where Mysterio came from and why he has it in for Spider-Man. In front of Peter sits a man listening to the radio. And this character, did you notice who this character looks a lot like?
No.
So there's this character, he's listening to the radio, and he's got a yellow t-shirt that's like cut off sleeve.
He looked like someone out of Street Fighter or something.
Well, he actually, and I looked it up because there was a show going on at the same time as this show, and he looks a lot like Rick Jones from The Incredible Hulk, who's the character that helps out Bruce Banner.
The one with the green hair?
The one that eventually gets the green hair, yes. He didn't have the green hair for a long time in the show before he did, and he looks a lot like that. But I thought it was definitely him, but Google is searching him. I don't know. It didn't look enough like him, and he didn't have the yellow T-shirt, so I was like, all right, never mind. But it looked a lot like
Rick Jones, bitch. Go Hulk your titty. 2 thumbs down. 2 green thumbs down.
Oh, that's fucking amazing. So... the radio is reporting that Spider-Man has been spotted, and
the gamma rays come back.
Spider-Man has been involved in an incident in a shopping mall near the Brooklyn Bridge. And right when Peter Parker's listening to this report, the Rick Jones lookalike turns it off and changes it to music, so Spider-Man doesn't get to listen. So Spider-Man hops off the bus and narrates that it's time for him to meet his evil twin.
I really hate to interrupt a megalomaniac when he's on a roll, but here's web in your eyes.